let me just say about tonight that I've assumed very little in terms of Bible knowledge. This really is intended as a very, very basic introduction to the Bible, finding your way around the Bible. Tonight we're going to look at different Bibles and we're going to look at some resources that are available for Bible study. So I'm going to give you a little quiz just to sort of figure out where you're at, but it's just it's the baseline, so I've got some idea of what you do or don't know. But as I say, my assumption is zero knowledge of the Bible. What I want to do is look at some Bibles. I've got a stack of different Bibles here, which I'm just going to pass around and have a look at one. There we go. I want you to have a look through your Bible. We're not looking for anything in particular other than the features of the Bible. So when you open it up, what do you see? Some Bibles just have text in it. Some Bibles might have footnotes. They might have things down the column in the middle, all sorts of things. So I just want you to have a look at the Bible and see what are the sorts of features that you can see in the Bibles that you're looking at tonight.
Pictures.
Pictures.
Mm-hmm. Black tablets. And the Holy Bible. King James Version. But where's the price in red? I don't see what's the price. Other.
Okay, so that's a red letter Bible. So yes, where Jesus has said something, they're highlighted in red. And I think that's the only one that I've got of that kind. Can you... So yes,
that's a good question, Elise. So why Jesus? Can you see that? I like Bibles like that because I usually find that is the core inspiration for the Bible. Jesus.
Yes. Yeah. So you can get plenty of Bibles like that, but that's the only one that I have with me today. What about other things? We've got other things in those Bibles too.
Footnotes.
Footnotes, yes.
Got some footnotes here.
Sorry. Headings, yes, which are very useful. And you had
I have a few footnotes.
Footnotes
very
as well.
minor ones.
Yes.
We could have a concordance.
Yeah, well spotted. So there's in here, in this one, there is a poem, and you can see it's a poem because, yeah, the way it's set out. It's set out like a poem rather than story, which is on that side. Yeah.
So some Bibles have concordance with them.
Yes, some of them do.
Otherwise, sometimes there's a whole concordance like this big.
Yes. If you look in the back, just have a look at the back of your Bibles. You might find in the back there are other things. So sometimes there's maps, sometimes there's a concordance. That's got absolutely nothing.
What's a concordance?
Well, we'll talk about that in a tick. It's like a dictionary, if you like.
I have a fully equipped.
Oh, for the clover.
I think that was mine actually. I think I put that there when I was like 14. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they come as standard equipment though. Are maps in the back of that one?
I got chronology
Yep.
of the Bible.
Yeah, mine just says the end.
Yes, this one here says
Oh,
the
maps.
answer.
I think that's
Maps
right.
as well. Anything else?
Has the word list.
Oh, okay.
Has map index.
Yeah. So look, any Bible you're going to pick up will have, some of them will have these other things in them to help you find your way around or understand what's actually being talked about. Just to point out to you, if you go to the very back page of the handout, I've got there a list of features you may look for in a Bible. Okay? So there's text size, the red letter edition, where the words of Jesus are in red, passage headings, the thickness of the pages, a table of contents, cross-references. And so there's a variety of things that I've listed there that you may find in the Bible, but you may not. What we're going to have a look at is some of the different study tools that are available to you when you want to start looking at the Bible. So now, I've actually got a pile of these books here, which I'll wave around. But the reason I've done this is particularly for Brad and anyone else who's online. so that you can look at the same stuff that we're looking at here. So the first one on page 3 is the study Bible that I've got here, and it just shows you the resources you've got available to you in a study Bible. So this is the Psalms. I've shown a bit of Psalm 32 there. If you look at the words Psalm 32 of David, a maskil, you'll notice there's a little I next to the maskil, and then down on the bottom, towards the bottom on the right hand side, it says title, probably a literary or musical term. So there's those sorts of hints there. Then if you go into the text of the Bible itself, verse 1, blessed is he whose transgressions are forgiven, whose sins are covered, and there's a D in italics. And if you were to go up, I've actually cut it out here, I noticed, but in the center column at the top, there would be that letter D and a number of other biblical references which have some kind of relevance to that sentence. Okay, and you'll see these little letters appearing through the text, and these refer to lists, this list of references down the middle. Then at the bottom of the page also you'll see that there is the beginnings of quite extensive notes actually. And in this particular page, if you were to turn to this page in the Bible, there's actually more notes than there are biblical text on that particular page. So there's a lot of information that potentially is there for you if you really wanted to get into some sort of fairly serious study. So that. Then we have the New International Dictionary of the Bible. It's not the only one by any means, but this is the dictionary of the Bible, and you see I've just taken a copy of the beginning of the page that starts the letter C. So just like any other dictionary, I'll just pull it out. Then we've got a thing called a commentary. Now I've got, this is this is Matthew Henry's concise commentary of the whole Bible. Now this works quite differently. This particular one, you'd be studying a passage from the Bible and you want to look at what someone says about that particular passage. So you go into this book and you look it up, and it will be in biblical order. So if you're looking at the Psalms, you look up for the book of Psalms, which is about the middle, and then it gives you the references, and you can look to any passage. Now we had Psalm 32 there, so a couple of pages ago. So I could look up Psalm 32, and there's quite a long section, a summary of it, and then some commentary on what it means. Now the next thing is the Interlinear Bible, down the bottom of that page, page 4. Now the Interlinear Bible, have a look at what's there. Sorry?
So it looks like that.
Looks like maths. So have a look and see if you can identify what is actually there on that page.
It's a different language, like
It is, yeah. So that's Hebrew. Again, you'll notice at the top it says the Book of Psalms. So I've picked one from the Book of Psalms, the beginning, just so you could see what it was there. So there's 2 columns here that you can see. The column on the left says a literal translation of the Bible. Okay, so this is the translation, more or less what we would read in the Good News or the New King James. Okay, they've translated the text. The larger column has several things in it. First of all, at the top, it has a row of numbers. Those are called Strong's numbers. I'll explain those in a little while. The second row is the Hebrew. Quite right, it's the Hebrew language, and it runs from right to left. And underneath each Hebrew word, there is a translation of that word. So if you were to read that the English in that larger column, you have to read it from right to left. Bless the man who not has walked in the counsel of the wicked and in the way of, and then it's on to the next line. Now, where an interlinear Bible is really useful is it can actually give you the particular words that are being used. And it's one of the tools that I use, Jason, when I'm talking at church. Now, this is where the numbers come in. If you look at that word in the counsel of, it's got a number 6098, and that is called the Strong's number. Now, there was a gentleman by the name of James Strong who did the work of going through the entire Bible, cataloguing every single word in the Bible, giving it a number, and listing where that word occurred in the Bible. All right?
So did it start from the first word of the book with number 1?
That's alphabetical. So his listing is alphabetical, and the first word, A, gets 1.
Okay.
Okay. It's a massive amount of work, and he did it before computers, of course. This is sort of 19th century stuff going on here. So this is one of the most important tools when it comes to Bible study. Okay. So Strong's Concordance, Part A. There's a section of the concordance which is unfaithful, unfaithfully, unfeigned, unfruitful, etc. Okay, and you can see that some of them are quite short entries. So unfaithful, for example, only has 1 entry, and it's in Proverbs chapter 25, verse 19. And the part of the verse is confidence in an unfaithful man in time of, and then you've got to go and look it up if you want the rest of the verse. But it's word number 898. You then go to the second part of this book, which is the second section, and I haven't quoted that particular one. Again, I've just taken a random page, and you look up the number. And so you can see the first number I've got here is 5036, and it gives you the Hebrew word, it gives you how it might be pronounced in English, and then what it means. There's a massive amount of stuff to help you find your way around the Bible, depending upon. It really depends on what you want to get out of the Bible. So you can go really, really deep with some of the tools you've got available, or you can get a sort of a surface level meaning as well. This is a passage from that's been written by Emanuel Swedenborg. It's about approaching the Bible. So it's just something for you to have a think about how one should read the Bible and how to get the best out of it. So we'll just read this through. Everyone who has a spiritual affection for truth, everyone, that is, who loves truth itself because it is true, is enlightened by the Lord when he reads the Word, the Bible. This does not happen to someone who reads it as the result of nothing but a natural affection for truth, what is known as a desire for knowledge. He sees nothing but what agrees with his love, or with the principles which he has either sought for himself or acquired from listening to others or reading their writings. A person is enlightened if he shuns evils because they are sins and because they are against the Lord and his divine laws. In his case and no others, the spiritual mind is opened, and the more it is opened, the more the light of heaven enters, and all enlightenment from the word is due to the light of heaven. For then a person has a will for good, and when this will is directed to this purpose, it becomes in the intellect first an affection for truth, then a perception of truth, next, by means of the light of reason, thinking about truth, and so a decision and conclusion. As this passes thence into the memory, and so also into the way he lives, so as to become permanent, this is the path which produces all enlightenment on the word. But there must first be present in the memory a knowledge of both spiritual and natural matters. For these are the stores on which the Lord acts by means of the light of heaven. The fuller they are, and the more devoid of confirmed falsities, the clearer is the perception given, and the more certain is the conclusion. For instance, anyone who does not know that the Lord is pure love and pure mercy, good itself and truth itself, and that love itself and good itself are in essence such as to be unable to do anyone harm, or to become angry and seek vengeance, or who does not know that the word in many passages is based on appearances. Such a person cannot be enlightened on the word, where Jehovah is said to flare up with wrath and become angry, that fire and rage are his, that his wrath burns down to the lowest hell, as we read in the works of David, and he's talking about the Psalms.